got over there and got converted, and he had cows over there.
Had this all working this
So he
afternoon.
was out.
This was all working this afternoon, and now it's
Right
after.
in the house and everybody was there, still to come out. And the neighbors finally
It's been doing
got
that
it,
since
got, got,
And, we had,
I don't sign off on this, do I, Joe?
Can, sign off twice, you know.
they had a fire. The fire department said it looked like it was the next block over, the alleyway was next to the road, it was a fire. And they could, maybe, they could not get to it. And they, so they took the, it's just ran on the street and stuff. They couldn't get it. And they sprayed water on the inside, on the outside. The party was right on Christmas.
Not really.
So controlled.
We don't get too fired up about it.
We have not been anywhere. They put my Christmas tree up tonight. That's why. We'll have no time.
We don't get too fired up about it.
We don't get to tell them. Somebody works that week.
that would be nice.
There's two more buyers.
It wasn't zipped up.
He doesn't zip up to like.
Well, I was on the forklift today, I had it half zipped up, yeah, it wasn't half.
Oh, okay. We're not doing this?
Can we discuss what that policy is like? Like I read it, but
So that doesn't need to be executive session, I guess, discussing a certain employee,
gotcha, okay,
which is why I was there.
oh, okay,
I
gotcha.
can talk one employee basically that didn't make it, or basically was.
You know what, though, I do think it should be brought up in public meeting, just so our constituents are aware that people may not be aware of it, because when it came out, when Governor Noem made that comment, made that, so that applies to all city workers too as well? Staff?
Designated as essential street, electric and police will work a standard workday if possible,
If possible.
if not possible, and then if they're not scheduled, they don't get paid, they don't.
But they only get paid if the governor declares
Yeah,
closed, right?
Yes, yes.
and we can
Or an
add,
act of God, I mean, if we had a tornado, then it would be up to the mayor to declare that, I mean, cause that's gonna be more localized.
can we
You
bring
wanna
that
get
up
on
for
there?
discussion purposes during the meeting, just so everybody is aware of?
So if there's any discussion, I would say yes, that'd be a good idea.
Yes, I think it would be a good idea, so everybody's aware of it. So when we get down to the employee snow day payroll, we can talk about that,
So you can leave it on
which it
there.
doesn't have to be an executive session.
Right.
Oh, that's number 6, isn't it?
Yeah, yep.
I hope I covered myself up enough yesterday when I was coughing that you didn't receive any of the aftermaths of it.
I hope so too, cause I just got over mine
Oh,
about the
Here's
same
one
time.
turn.
well, I tell you what, Tuesday I got
Mine's
it,
on.
it just didn't,
Yep.
Mine is no.
it just didn't let me go.
You good?
Either there now.
Yeah, no
It
problem.
is.
I'm not calling this an old guy, but I think we get a little bit longer in the tooth, we gotta take care of it.
It was cold like that.
And I can-
So we'll read that agreement today.
We'll call the meeting to order, begin with the pledge of allegiance to the flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the agenda, I have nothing to add or subtract to the agenda, so I would recommend a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
I move to approve.
For a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes, or the agenda as printed. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Approval of the minutes found on pages 1 and 2. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, I entertain a motion to approve the minutes as printed.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as printed. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carries. Public input. Does anybody got anything to talk about? It's not on the agenda.
I do. I would like to thank the city employees involved in all the snow removal. I think almost everybody was, except for maybe the office staff. Did, as always, did a fantastic job keeping everybody so they could get to work and get people to work with the hospital and the nursing home, and it's just unbelievable how well that works and getting everybody back to work. I'd just like to thank them for their excellent job.
Is there any other comments?
I'd like to, echo that, and then also an extended appreciation as far as, all the help that neighbors gave neighbors, with regard to things like the loose cattle and, other things of that sort, to make sure everybody, was helped in any manner in which they needed help too, so, it's a tribute to our community and also the other communities that you see some of the things that they did too as well, so, a shout out to our staff too as well as, and even our office staff, they made it a valiant effort to, come in when they could. I know Shayla rode one day, got home, came over by snowmobile one day to be in the office, and, I think maybe Cindy might have rather had a couple days in the office. But, anyway, having said that, but yeah, tribute to each of them.
Is there anything else for public input? I would like to say that I really appreciate the job that our employees do here, and I think we ought to be thankful for them.
I guess I've always said that I go around to different communities, and whether it's a big town, little town, or what, there's no community that does as good as what the Miller crews do. Our town is well taken care of.
Well, in fear that we're still taking them around, changing shifts out there with snowmobiles at the hospital and everything, a day after we're all plowed off.
I had to go to Madison to get the paper. Miller was the cleanest town.
Yeah, it always is.
They did a good job.
Yep.
It's pretty tough on the highway. They live here, but
Yeah.
town.
Okay, is there anything else for public input? If not, we'll go down the line. We'll start with unfinished business, which is the second reading of ordinance number 740. It's a budget supplement found on page 3. Ordinance number 740, be it ordained by the city of Miller that the following sum is supplementary appropriated to meet the obligations of the municipality. General fund is airport fuel, And that's the source of funding, is the source of airport fuel sales for $6,500. Then I entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 7, the second reading of, is this the second reading?
No,
Second reading of ordinance number 740.
I'll make a motion, we accept, or, I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion to approve ordinance number 740. Is there a
I'll
second?
second it.
Is there any discussion?
Just for, how do we collect that revenue when we sell, fuel out there? How is that taken care of?
The guys run a credit card through our,
It has,
it's all credit card sales.
okay, sounds good, all right.
Sometimes cash, because if our credit card thing doesn't work, sometimes they'll give the guys cash, but usually we try to stick with the credit card.
Does somebody have to be out there, for that purchase? Okay.
Any other discussion? If not, we gotta go by roll call, and I'll start with Alderwoman Harkins,
Aye.
Alderwoman Lechty,
Aye.
Alderman West,
Aye.
Alderman Odegaard,
Aye.
Alderman Zeller,
Aye.
Alderman McGowan.
Aye.
Hearing 6 ayes and no nays, the motion carried by unanimous ballot. Motion carried. New business. Number 1, first reading of ordinance number 741, camping, page 4. Do you want these read?
This one should be read the first time, but we
Yeah.
don't need a motion or anything.
No, I know that. Okay, 741 is an ordinance amending section 2810 of the ordinance of the city of Miller, South Dakota, being ordained by the city of Miller, South Dakota, that Article 2, camping, section 28-10, days is hereby amended to read as follows. Section 28, 10 days. Camping is on a first-come, first-served basis in designated areas as a free will offering for the first 3 days. A daily fee will be charged for each day after the 3 free days as provided in the city fee schedule. Self-registration will be required. Registration material is available at the campground entrance. Non-registered campers will be asked to leave. So we don't have to approve that, do we? So that's it for that until the second reading.
Should there be someplace on there where this is at, like Miller City Park?
This is just in our ordinances, or actually, it's under the park and rec.
Okay,
It's under the park and rec in our book, and then it's the camping portion.
okay, great.
And
Thank
then
you.
where is that fee gonna be, or is that set yet?
Yes, we, and I'm privileged because I came up and looked at it. Shayla had a nice spreadsheet with each of the expenses, and it has the camp. She had, first 3 days free will, after that $30 per day. So it's set.
And
We
then
have,
tenting was free will.
Yeah.
All the time. I didn't bring the fee schedule tonight because we wanna do all of our fees. A lot of them are obsolete, so we wanna maybe by the first reading in January, redo our entire fee schedule, and that will be added to that.
Oh, good, okay.
So it'll still be in effect before camping season, but we just didn't have time with everything to get it reviewed.
see, and with that, the only thing that I'm hesitant, before I had it put on there, with regard to this being a go-to and return route, for somebody. And, I don't know if we want to, let's say somebody goes through, has their 3 days, takes a week's vacation, on the way back, maybe spend a couple nights, and then on the way home. You understand where I'm getting at? Okay, they exceeded the 3 days. And I don't know if we wanna put any more into it to make it more complicated, or maintain it so we can, it can be workable. If you understand,
I think a big thing with this though is there's the registration, so there
Yes.
probably won't be any free. I think they'll do the free will donation more readily because there's the registration with their name and address and
Yeah.
everything. I think they'll be more inclined to put something in the
Yeah.
bucket.
Yeah.
Where before it would be, no, you know, they were just there anonymously, basically.
Is there any more discussion? If not,
well, and I'll just say this, if there's no discussion, this is kind of the first reading.
Right.
Okay, and if there's any additions next, then that has to be the first reading if there's any changes.
Right.
So I just wanna, if there's anything that we need, and that's, we still have plenty of time. You know, nobody's gonna go down camping in the next 3, 4, 5 weeks anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
They can't get there.
Yeah.
But if there are any suggested changes, we can have another first reading. If somebody comes up with something, talk to Tom and we can rewrite it or add it to it. And do another first reading in January, whatever.
Okay.
okay, is there anything else? If not, we'll go on to number 2, which is the first reading of ordinance 742, and that's a removal permit. Ordinance number 742. An ordinance amending section 40-31 of the ordinance of the city of Miller, South Dakota. Be it ordained by the city of Miller, South Dakota, that Article 2, Administration and Enforcement, section 4031, building permit required, is hereby amended to read as follows. Administration and enforcement, building and removal, section 4031, building and removal permit required. A building or removal permit is required for any building to be erected, moved, removed, added to, or structurally altered. Now, we're gonna,
The way it was read is,
what,
the
that's,
way it was before,
yeah,
Tom helped me with this too, and we kind of thought it looked a little more positive this way rather than the way it was written, it seemed kind of negative, so we just kind of wanted to change that a little bit.
okay, we're gonna delete this, no building or other structure shall be erected, moved, removed, added to, or structurally altered without a permit therefore issued by the council. No building permit shall be issued except in conformity with the provisions of this chapter. A building permit shall not be required for the internal remodeling of a structure. A building permit application requiring variance for lot line location must be accompanied with a certified survey showing lot line location. Number 2, removal permits require proof that the water and sewer have been capped off. Council approval will be determined after the electric, water, and sewer superintendents have been consulted and signed the permit. A deposit as set forth in the fee schedules will be required for all removal permits and will be returned upon proper capping of the sewer near the main. Surcharges and base fees will be removed from the property upon inspection and approval by the electric and water sewer superintendents. And that's ordinance number 742. First reading.
Tom also helped
And
with
Jed,
this.
I'm sorry.
I was just say, I jackknifed him when he came in for the camping, I had him help me with this one too. It was a nice quiet day, there was nobody moving in the snow.
And I think that A under number 2 is just helps with regard to make sure that it is properly capped. So we don't have anything going into the new water lines or
Right.
sewer lines with regard to that. I think that's,
The amount we discussed was like $500, we don't, that's just thrown out there. So if anybody has any suggestions on that before the fee schedule.
What if they,
They're gonna have to pay surcharge and base fees, they're gonna have to pay on that.
but if they tear the building down?
They still have to pay all that. If they don't
So
have
they
this,
don't get, like, the county, if you don't get a building permit, it's $100.
I know, we need to discuss that for part of our fees too, with our fee schedule is, if you don't get a building permit, there should be a fine. So,
Well, I can tell you from experience that that can be a mess if they don't cap at all.
yeah.
Cause there used to be a old house up there north of where the subway is now. That house was tore down, they filled the basement up and never capped the sewer off. Well, that sewer plugged to the west of there, cause there was no cleanup on it back then. To the west of there, and that sewer backed up in there and soaked up through the ground, and they had to dig that mess out of there and cap it.
Man.
Well, I have pictures of the front page of the paper before we started on the sewer stuff and they did the smoking of the sewers, remember that? Where it was coming out on the ground.
Yep.
Because there was places that had not been capped properly and the house was removed and the sewer was not capped and it was just smoke coming out the ground.
Yep.
So, I mean, they have to do all that, so.
Yeah.
I don't think they think of it when
Seemed
they're
like I
moving the
remember.
house out, you know?
Seemed like I remember some of them years when we had the flooding, the floods was going into the sanitary sewer because they weren't capped and it was overrunning the sanitary sewer.
Oh, sure.
And yep, that was happening too. Yeah, forgot about that. Good point.
You know, and the thing it is, and I think input like that are just more or less, insight as well. You know, provides a rationale why certain things are done with regard to, you know, a deposit. Now, is that a hefty deposit? Probably, but I don't know what, I'm sure not in comparison to tearing down a building, you're just trying to protect the investment that we have all
the
put
residents,
into our community, you know, and we're all in this together.
Well, and the key word is deposit. You do everything right, you get it back.
Get it back.
Well,
yeah.
that's it, yeah. You're
you
not,
won't even cash it, it'll just,
yeah. It's just
Yeah,
been
check
be
it
held.
Discussion on the first reading of ordinance of 742. If not, we'll go on to number 3. Resolution number 2022-18, and that's surplus, and it's found on page 6. Whereas, and I'll read this, whereas certain municipal personal property is no longer useful, necessary, or suitable for municipal purposes, and whereas the items of no use and need to be destroyed. Therefore be it resolved that the following municipal property be declared surplus property to wit. Police Department. All traffic solutions speed monitors, serial number SL170103053. Cost of repair exceeds the cost of the replacement. Motorola DS radio be replaced by grant surplus to fire department. 12 EF Johnson digital radios are obsolete. 2 Optic Vision thermal cameras received from Graham, no longer working. 2 Martel Patrol Care video cameras, obsolete. Laser Atlanta lighter gun, no longer working and obsolete. Apex 55-inch TV received from council, no longer working. 2 Dell Inspiron computer towers, obsolete. 5 Hewlett Packard computer towers, obsolete. 2 compact computer towers, obsolete. Brother fax machine, obsolete. 3 computer monitors, obsolete. 3 body vests, obsolete. And a Whelen siren and controller and 2 controllers and console is obsolete. Dated this 20th day of December 2022.
Okay, Ted, what do we do with the obsolete items? If I may.
I guess as the ordinance states, they'd just be destroyed.
Okay. And that was my concern with mainly one of them, was the body armor vests. If they're obsolete, we just don't, but we destroy them or just kind of dispose of them.
Yep.
Okay.
And the computers, we're gonna have to destroy probably the hard drives or something, because there might be
Yeah,
misinformation on there.
you can tell like the compacts, that's getting really old.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I figured what I'd do is pull the hard drive out and smash them.
Yeah. We got a loader running around, we can like.
Target practice.
Yeah.
That's what the
Might-
sheriff's department used to do, is
We
target
might do
practice.
that. Tannerite.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Let's see, we have to have a motion on this one.
Yes.
Okay, I entertain a motion to approve resolution number 2022-18.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2022-18. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Number 4 is Ted Huss, a vest, found on page 7.
Didn't we okay this, for him to order this last time?
And it was safety?
Well, I think we told him to go ahead and, purchase them if need be before the next meeting. But now that he has it,
Now that we can order it, he got the quote from Strikers. It's more than $1,000, so he can
Yeah.
technically, you know what it's going to cost,
Yeah.
it's right here in black and white, so. It's all good to go.
well, first of all, I was gonna ask you, what's a ball panel set? And then but after I looked at it, my bifocals kind of focused in to see the period after ball, so I was thinking that's ballistic. Am I correct?
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
top line is the ballistic panels, and the second item is the carrier,
Okay.
the actual vest part. And the last item is just a patch that says police.
Is it,
A patch.
okay, all right.
Okay.
Okay,
Make a motion to approve it
Is there a second?
I'll
I'll second it.
again.
Yeah, again.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the purchase of the vest. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Have a good night, guys.
Yep, you
Thank
too,
you.
thanks. Good night.
Number 5, the St. Lawrence Intergovernmental Agreement, found on pages 8 through 10.
Has any of this changed?
The only thing that's changed is consideration. We went from $850 a month to $1,000 because we're gonna be doing a project next year with St. Lawrence, so there's gonna be more time involved. So we upped it to $1,000 a month from $850.
No.
And St. Lawrence has already,
Have you ever kept track of the time that you guys put into this?
we've kind of figured it's about maybe 3.5 to 4 days of Christie's time for the most part. Coming up with the project, we're really not sure what that's gonna entail for the most part, but things are smoothing out so much more. The more we do it, the less we have to, other than this last week with a problem with our snow removal in St. Lawrence. Other than that, I don't have to spend much time at all, but
Is that 3.5 to 4 days a week or that?
a month.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm.
That
Yes.
was my next question.
Yeah, no, 3.5 to 4 days, that would not be enough.
Thank you.
No, a month. So, because we only have one meeting. Yeah, big difference.
I just wanna be sure that we are coming out okay on this and not
Yeah.
donating to St. Lawrence, I
Nope.
guess.
Yeah, cause I'd even thought about our wage increases and stuff too, how that, if, like, we'll have wage increases next year from what we've got this year, if that'll cover that, so.
Yeah, and we'll kind of see more after this year with the project of what it takes for us, how much
So
more.
this is a permanent thing then we have with St. Lawrence and then you have to renew it or what?
Every year, I mean, if we want to continue doing it for St. Lawrence, if they want us to continue doing it, we have to renew it every year,
Right, okay.
so. If either party wants to stop, then we will.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just an annual agreement.
Okay. I didn't know why I went through it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'd entertain a motion to either approve the St. Lawrence intergovernmental agreement or reject it.
I'll move to approve it.
You wanna approve it?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the St. Lawrence
32 hours of
intergovernmental agreement. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the St. Lawrence intergovernmental agent agreement found on pages 8 and 10. Is there any more discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. That's the end of the business. I would entertain a motion to approve the bills. Oh, no, wait a minute. We got an employee snow day payroll down here.
Yeah, we
and
can move that up, yeah.
I'll read that. 5.9, all closures proclaimed as weather-related or acts of God by the governor of South Dakota or as deemed necessary by the mayor will be paid as standard work days. No overtime will be paid to employees who are required to work unless the employees work over the number of hours in a standard work day, 12 hours for police officers. Employees designated as essential are the street department, electric department, and police department will work a standard work day if possible. Employees not scheduled will not receive any pay for such proclaimed closures. That's been approved,
That's in our employee,
that's in the
How long's that
employee
been in the employee book? Has that
I'm
been-
guessing. Let's see if I got any changes down here on. 5.9. Inclement weather was 2018, April 4th of 2018. That was created in 18.
So basically, if the governor is closing
Due to weather.
due to weather,
I think we probably changed that maybe with the holidays. I wonder if we pulled that out of the holiday thing, cause we used to be closed whenever the governor closed. And you pulled that out with the holidays, you didn't wanna be closed with the holidays for the governor. So I think we just pulled the inclement weather portion out and kept that.
So if they advise no travel, that has nothing to do with that.
Well, no, the governor, yeah, I don't know how you do that, if we should add to that, no travel, I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are.
Well, I did do a lot of research on that, and I called several areas just so that we would know before I got the note saying we
Yeah.
found that. I called Huron, Redfield, Madison, Pierre, Fulton, Aberdeen, Mitchell. None of them have anything as far as,
Inclement weather,
no, for if there's no travel advised.
okay.
You know, Huron has where they don't pay their employees, if they have to stay home because of weather, even if the governor shuts it down. But they gave them the option to use sick leave
Okay.
for those days. And then Redfield, if the mayor or the governor shuts down the city, then they're employed for the time that it's warranted by the governor or the mayor.
Right, which is the same as ours, basically.
So, and I asked all of them if they had anything on there that, you know, you shut down city offices because no travel advised, and they said no.
Nothing on that.
None of them, none that I called did,
So,
but,
so the city was actually shut down by the governor one day, right?
The state was shut down Tuesday through Friday. The governor shut down all state offices Tuesday through Friday last week. They were all shut down. And the county was shut down Tuesday through Friday because they followed the state on inclement weather.
The way the situation turned out this last time, I think that was okay. I mean, the only concern I have is what if the governor sends something down basically between Stanley and Hughes and maybe Sully County are having issues.
She kinda does areas like that.
Especially the area.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, if there's no inclement weather on the east side, but there is on the west side, she shut it down in the past by area.
Okay.
She didn't do statewide, she did it by, okay, there's a major blizzard, it's 30 degrees in Watertown, the Black Hills is shutting down, you know, or up to Pier, or just the Pier. You know, she's done it by areas
Area,
most of the time.
okay.
This time it was a blanket,
Yeah,
and it should have been a blanket,
absolutely.
so.
I don't think-
For that one. I do know that Haley said that because she was gonna go to to try to get to Huron, and she was told that if there's anybody driving in Huron, they will be ticketed at one point during the day, during the blizzard. They didn't want anybody on the streets. Because she works in Huron, and she was thinking she needed to get over there. And she was told by the hospital, do not come over here because they're arresting anybody that's not an essential worker. If you need to get to the hospital, your emergency or whatever, you're gonna be on the streets. But if they were just out on the streets because they weren't essential workers, they were ticketing people for being out in Huron. So they specifically told her, do not come over here, we don't need any extra people on the streets.
It was ugly. Bad storm.
And we still have the consideration if the mayor wants to say, look, we're gonna shut down City Hall at such a time, we still have that option to do so,
Yes,
correct?
yes, I just
So it
read in
doesn't
there.
have to be something that, with regard to, that, I know, like I said earlier, my main concern, in fact, I came up for a couple of things, but that was one of the, just make sure Cindy was on her way home, and I don't know if she even made it in that day.
She didn't make it in all last week. She had a sick kid on Monday, and then she didn't make it in
Yeah.
all week,
Yeah,
because they were socked in.
yeah.
It took them Saturday before they got out of their place to get to Reheist to come to town.
Wow.
Well, one thing I think about this deal with this storm deal, we gotta be a little bit considerate of our employees.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like this. I don't wanna see Cindy get here and have to get, and then get headed for home and end up halfway between here and Reites.
Yeah. Well, I also have to look, and if I'm wrong on this, correct me, but I think there's some businesses on Main Street that shut down one of those days too.
Actually, on Thursday and Friday, the banks were both closed, so we couldn't even take anything to the bank.
Okay,
Most of them were closed early. Ace Hardware stayed open. Oakley's was open. Everybody needs the salt, the snow
Yeah.
blowers, the shovels. And the convenience stores were open, but most of Main Street was.
it was closed.
And Kessler's, I know, was trying,
You did?
Tuesday,
Yeah.
and I just stayed shut.
yeah,
Well, and I do
Getting
have,
shoveled, and then been home.
yeah.
I'm like, I'm not doing this.
I think that's why I piggybacked off Joe's, just commendation to the city workers and all that they did. I know I did make it out to Oakley's, but I wasn't as hardware, and I said, I'm sure a lot of people probably thanked you for staying open. He said, we're more busy than we thought we'd be. So that was, convenient for those individuals who needed something.
Right.
And I'm sure the same thing was, Oakley's was the same way. So, and the
Convenience stores,
convenience stores as well.
Yeah.
yeah.
That ice was
Yeah,
terrible.
snowboard.
And I totally agree with, you have to be considerate of the workers, like, and all of that. And sometimes probably when you live out of town, it's unfortunate, but they will have to probably use vacation at some point. Like if it's not shut down, right? Because that's what it says in.
Yeah,
It has
if
to
we're
be
not
shut
shut down. But if we're shut down, or if the governor shuts it down, or if the mayor shuts it down, then they wouldn't have to use vacation or leave.
Right.
Well, and I can just relate to the situation, and because I was sitting in Ron's seat, and I know Ron's the same way. There's a lot of consideration taken in. You just don't, it's just not all, well, we're gonna shut down. I mean, that's by no means
Yeah.
the way it is. I mean, if it's shut down, there's a need and necessity to have it shut down.
Well, I talked to Ron the day before that storm was supposed to hit, when they started forecasting from 18 to 20 inches of snow or whatever they were forecasting. And we kinda had a mutual agreement that they probably better plow during the storm, because you get so much snow and you can't move it if you don't get it out of there. Cause that happened, I remember that happened one time.
Yeah. Well, I do remember him going past my home late at night, and even that night, there was a little bit of law, and that's when I went out and cleaned out my driveway, just to get it cleaned out. I also needed to, with regard to that, we don't know what Wednesday's gonna bring,
No,
but I think as concerning as I am with Wednesday, I'm more concerned with regard to the bitter cold. I think that's the thing that, is really concerning,
Right.
with regard to that too as well. And how that is addressed, if it needs to be addressed, I'm sure that would be, handled appropriately.
I wonder what the liability is if there's no travel advised for the city. That'd be a question for our insurance, I think.
Well, I think that's, something that needs to be considered too as well. I mean,
well, I can tell you that plowing snow when it's way below zero is nobody's joke. As I can remember in '97, it was 20-some below zero, and I was up on top of a snowbank up at Polo, changing a filter in a cab.
well, and I don't think you can really truly appreciate moving snow unless you've been in a vehicle moving snow. I know Dustin got a little bit, kind of an alteration of path, simply because of kind of a snowbank that he hit along. I shouldn't say hit, that he was moving, I mean, didn't do anything, but just, kind of took him off track a little bit and stuff. So there is an art to it, and there is a timing to when this needs to be done.
I tell you, I gave a ride home one time, in a snowplow with a guy, he was at his tractor in town. Getting the work done, he needed to ride home, so he rode with me.
Yeah.
Well, when I got him there, he told me, he said, if I ever need a ride again, don't stop, because I'm not getting them.
That's too rough.
Well, I'll tell you what, unless you rode one of them things a lot, you don't, people don't realize. Well, I do understand the motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Kind of getting back, is there anything that we need to address with regard to, make a more clear understanding with regard to if we shut things down or things of that sort, or the way we have it? I mean,
Well, there isn't a clear way of knowing for the employees if they're supposed to be here or not. I mean, if we go by the governor says we're closed down statewide, do we just assume we're closed down? Or, cause I mean, obviously if she's gonna be closed in the west area or the east, we're not, Sioux Falls, we're not gonna
No.
think about it, but.
with regard to this, is the mandate by the governor, let's say we're gonna close down statewide, that we are closed down statewide with regard to the city hall? That's what I'm asking. Does her mandate
Right.
apply to everybody? I think that's what we need clarification on.
Well, I would say, like our policy says, if you're essential, the street workers need to be out.
Yeah. Maybe the electrical because of,
If there's a power outage, they need to be able to go
Yeah.
out, but if there's not a power outage, unless they're helping the street department.
That's the thing, is you had all the city employees plowing snow.
Well,
So you're gonna tell them, you don't have to come in because you're water and sewer, so
no, they're gonna still plow snow. I mean, but on the flip side, when they weren't plowing snow, there was nothing else they could do, so they were just standing in the office visiting because we were open.
They had everybody that they had
Working.
employee out to the airport moving snow out there to get that opened up, cause I was out there for an hour while they was working.
They were out there for 8 to 10 hours, I think, on Saturday.
Hmm?
It was 8 to 10 hours with at least 5 employees on Saturday.
I do know when, some of the days that the state was shut down, that the city hall was, I know Shayla was up here,
Christie was here.
Christie was up here. You know, the only one who wasn't here was Cindy. And I think came up one time, because I was kind of concerned about some things, and, might have been about 3 or 4 o'clock, and I think, and you might have been here, but the front door was locked and stuff, so I just,
We came earlier to get bills done.
Yes.
Mayor had said open at 5, or at noon, but we came earlier to get, because bills had to get out. So we were here earlier,
Yeah.
but we didn't really, we needed to get stuff done. We were running short on time, so, I mean, we had to be here. There's an essential thing. We had to get the bills done. We came in, so
yeah.
it wasn't.
Yeah.
And we were here late that night too, but we just figured we didn't work in the morning, so we didn't take any overtime even though we were late but we stayed late because we had to get the stuff done,
Okay.
so. We do what we gotta do.
Okay.
But, you know, and I think that goes to something somebody is trying to catch up on some things. I would rather be more proactive on some of these things than reactive, and I think that's where the discussion comes in with regard to, you know, like what you put input, Tammy, that's, you know, the insight that you received from those other communities. So. I like to be what we do instead of what we should have done.
I wouldn't think that
Shayla, you said it could be a liability if you're working when there's travel.
Yeah, I don't know. I would just run it by the insurance to get yes or no. It would just be a good.
Yeah, because I would be surprised that all these other cities don't do it if it's a liability issue.
If you weren't mandated to be here, I don't know how it would be a liability.
Because I don't think anybody's expected to come in if their roads are blocked or you can't see. I mean, because it might be horrible where Cindy is, but it might be not as bad in town.
That's it. I mean, the weather can be really spotty.
Well, I went
Yeah.
to Huron on Sunday, I think it was,
So did I.
and at Woolsey, you ran out of a lot of the snow.
I was surprised that when you went east, how much less snow there was for a wave.
When you got to Huron, there was basically nothing.
It was actually more to the north and the east was where the heavy stuff was.
Well, I don't know about it anymore, but when I was a county highway superintendent, the state would plow the roads off when there was no travel advised.
This time they didn't. I mean, they even pulled the trucks. They even pulled the trucks this time. They didn't want the trucks out there.
Yeah, I mean, they just shut down Highway 45 north and south of Miller. There wasn't any movement anywhere.
People were going around them and they got stuck out there.
Yeah.
Shame on them.
And it takes 6 more people's lives in danger to go get
Yes.
them.
Well, that's just it. I mean, when you have a roadblock or whatever, it's for a purpose. They know what the conditions are further on and they don't want you out there. Because, like
Safety.
you say, then more people have to get out in it to try to get that person, so.
Well, the thing is, you're not being very considerate to the people who are trying to help you out in the long run by
Yeah.
getting the roads open, by being out there and getting in your way and maybe having the
Yeah.
possibility of needing to be rescued.
Yep.
And then putting people like the emergency crew, you know, Tammy
They'll
or
be in
anybody
danger
else
too. Yeah.
in a dangerous situation, now they gotta come out and get you because.
I stayed put. Was a good girl. When they said, don't travel, I didn't.
I didn't travel, but I was in the shop.
I did not
essential
move.
worker.
Yeah,
Did,
okay.
I've lost my train of thought here. Did we approve the bills?
Well, we
I think
voted
we
to.
did. I forgot to check it off.
Did we do the bills?
I think we made the motion
I
and
don't
the
think we
second,
voted
but
on it.
we didn't vote.
This is,
We didn't vote on it.
Got
Well,
sidetracked.
We got a motion, but
Yeah, motion and a second.
okay, we got a motion and a second to approve the bills.
Sheila, what is this?
Is there any discussion on that?
The, fixing the
If
bleachers
not,
down at
all
the
those in
ball.
favor say
That's
aye.
what-
Aye.
that's what-
Those opposed, the same.
Okay.
Motion
I've had
carried.
that questions all the time.
I already asked.
None of those?
Yep.
Okay.
Now, the next thing on the agenda is an executive session
Oops, yeah, we did just sign that.
for personnel pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2, parent 1.
And this is for what?
It don't say.
So you scratched I thought we scratched it off. We did.
Not the executive session, you scratched off the other one, but then we talked.
Oh,
about
I
that
thought
meeting.
this one was in executive session. Oh, I gotcha. They moved it up, so I thought it was just scratched. Okay, gotcha.
Do we need one then?
I don't know.
What was the executive session for?
Don't know.
Joe has.
Joe has it, okay, okay. Joe has it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I was just wondering if it's what I'm thinking it is it legal to go into executive session for this, or should it be just discussed in an open meeting?
No, that I don't, this is nothing to
No,
do.
right here.
This is something different.
Something different what you're thinking.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
I just thought it
At
was
least,
that, because that's.
I think that's what you're thinking.
I don't know what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Well, you're good, Jim.
So, okay, so,
Well, I think, you know, that's good, that's good, because I think we're all aware of what has to be discussed in open session and what is only allowed to be in executive session. And I think if anything starts to go off track in executive session, it's up to each one of us to make sure it's stopped right there and, no longer discussed.
okay.
So did we have a motion or we Did I miss it?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Second.
What's this you're making a motion for?
Go into executive session.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to go into executive session. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. So we'll go into executive session at 7:51.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck to you too as well.
Be safe.
Stay warm.